Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Polly, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the Mastering Powerful Presence Masterclass. What we'll do in this masterclass is I'll tell you a little bit about me, how I came to this work, who I think this course might be for, and share with you some tips and strategies for your powerful presence. So about 18 years ago, I came to this work, but it actually started maybe 25, 30 years ago when I was majoring in theater at Yale University. And I went to drama school in London, and I got to do all of these plays and see theater that was very inexpensive. And I had to do every play in an English accent, which was quite a challenge because I was acting next to people who are English. And then I went to New York to live the dream. And I lived in a little apartment in Queens, and I took the subway into the city. And for 11 years, I was a working actor. I did 5 lines on As the World Turns. I did a national tour of Anything Goes, where we played 52 cities in 3 months, bus and truck, which was a real learning experience. And I got towards the end, towards the 10 years, and I started to think, wow, I'm feeling a little bored. This is really strange. I'm getting paid to do what I love, and it's hard work, and there's a lot of competition and a lot of rejection. At the same time, I thought, I should like it more than I do. I was traveling a lot, and that was hard on a relationship. And so I thought, maybe there's something else for me. Maybe there's something I should be doing. So I went to visit with Patch Schwadron at the Actress Work Program. I have to give her a shout out. And she was my coach. She had me take a class called Are You on the Fence with Life in the Industry? And she coached me. She gave me a strengths survey. She said, you have a lot of strengths that you can apply to other roles and jobs, and you have values. We did a values sort that I now do as a leadership coach. What do you really want? What do you value? So we went through that, and I actually took an assessment on roles of jobs. And the number one thing it said I should be was a newscaster. And number 3 was a corporate trainer. And amazingly, as I got that result, at the same time, there was an organization that asked me if I wanted to use improv in business to teach communication. So I went in and I auditioned for them, and I landed the part, and I went into an organization where we were using improv and teaching accountants how to communicate better with each other. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I thought, this is amazing. I spent years rolling around on the floor trying to find my breath in drama school. And actually, the things that I've learned can be helpful to other people, much to my parents' disbelief. I think they thought I was lost to them forever. So I also got another job as teaching executive presence to a women's initiative in a professional services firm. And that also was a moment where the light bulb went on for me, but I also saw it go on for other people. So we were translating these skills, these tools, and these sort of quiet, small people who made themselves smaller were transformed within one session of having greater posture. And obviously, they have to continue that work. It's not just one thing that's going to click in for you. But it was really exciting to see that transformation. And I thought, wow, I can help people in a really deep and impactful way. So then I thought, well, maybe I need to get a PhD in psychology, and I can understand what makes people tick. And I looked into PhD programs, and they were all focused on depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. And I thought, oh, that's just not my personality. God bless the people who can do that on a daily basis, but that's not me. So I was looking at coaching programs, and at the time, they weren't very evidence-based. There was no research behind it. I thought, I don't know if I want to invest in that. And then someone said, have you heard of the master's program at Penn in positive psychology? But no, what's that? So I looked at it, and as Dr. Martin Seligman often says, I felt called to that role. I had to put myself through the grad program. I commuted from New York every 3 weeks to Penn, and it totally changed my life. And I thought, wow, I can both combine this thing that I'd started doing, the corporate training and teaching executive presence, along with all of the research I was learning in positive psychology, in what makes people happier, in gratitude, in awe, in resiliency. So that was really a life-changing experience, and I feel very grateful to them for creating it. So now I've been teaching executive presence for about 18 years. So it's exciting to be able to combine those two things. And I'm excited to see how you will react to it if you take the course. I want to share with you some of the things, some of the strategies and tools that could be helpful for you. One of the things that I didn't realize until I was further along in this journey of teaching this was around the inner critic and that little voice in my head that would say really mean things to me. What's interesting is that I actually was conceited enough to think that I didn't have an inner critic. I was like, well, all those other people I coach, they have an inner critic, not me. But in reality, I had pressed that so far down, I couldn't even hear the voice anymore. But as I was teaching specifically how to manage nervousness, which is something you'll learn in this course, there are so many tools and strategies that actors have and that actors know that we implement. I didn't realize how much those nerves impacted me, because I would go into an audition. You only have about 30 seconds to a minute to prove that you're good enough before you get a call back. And I would have a moment where I'd try to hit a high note because I'm a singer, and literally my voice would close. And I thought, wow, I tried everything. I used something called the Alexander technique. I took a medicine that was a beta blocker to try to reduce my nerves. And ultimately, that's one of the things that was really a challenge for me as an actor. And I thought, I wish that I'd had a course like this or something to give me some more tools to manage both the internal aspects of presence and confidence and the external aspects. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about sharing with this course. And also just the wacky things that people do to combat nerves. So Kathy Lee Gifford says that if you eat greasy chips, it actually creates more saliva in your mouth. There's a strategy if you lightly hold your tongue in between your teeth, creates more saliva in the back of your mouth, because I get cotton mouth. So that's one of my strategies. And then just breathing, which you think is pretty basic, and I learned in drama school for years. But still, when our heart starts racing, we have to focus on that breathing. And you'll learn some of the breathing techniques in this course as well. One of the other things I want to share with you is a facilitation strategy. So this course is not just for I'm giving a TED Talk or I'm giving a keynote speech. This is really for anyone. It's for people who communicate, which is presumably everyone who's watching this. If you have a challenging conversation coming up, if you are conversing with your teenager or you're negotiating with your landlord, all of these strategies are helpful for you to be more powerful and to influence other people. Say you're a PhD student and you're, debating with your advisor. That too is something you could use some of these strategies to be more powerful and, again, to influence. There's also facilitation, which is probably a whole other course, but I want to give you a special tool that you could use, and it's called the pechakucha. Pechakucha is a Japanese word for chit-chat. And it's a great way, especially since we're doing a lot of work online now, to engage people in a short way of getting to know them. They take a risk, they tell a story, and it bonds a group. So what you do is you have people send in one picture of something of which they're proud and that they can speak to for 30 seconds. And in PowerPoint, you can set the timer for 30 seconds so that the name comes up on one slide, and then the next slide is their picture. And they have 30 seconds to speak to it. And then the next person's name comes up, and then the next picture. I'll tell you, it has an amazing impact. The hardest part is getting people to send you the picture. So if you have a 2-day course, it might be good, or a warning, or lots of follow-up emails to get them to send you the picture ahead of time, or even a morning break where you can get the picture from them and quickly put it into a PowerPoint. But I find that it gets at storytelling, which a lot of what we're going to talk about in this course. Storytelling is so powerful, and it gets to vulnerability, which we also talk about in this course, of people telling about who they really are. And as Fred Rogers said, there's no one you couldn't learn to love if you heard their story. He had those words on a card that he kept in his wallet. What else are you going to learn in this course? Well, we're going to start with what is powerful presence, executive presence. We'll use those words, phrases sometimes interchangeably. And then we'll look at what is the audience? Who are they? What do they want? This nameless, faceless crowd that we tend to be afraid of. You'll break it down and look at what are the things you can know before you go in to help you be more prepared. Then we'll look at what is internal presence. Sometimes as actors, we talk about acting from the inside out or the outside in. And the inside out is getting the psychology of a character, and the outside in is making sure the clothes and the shoes and the hair and the makeup sort of fit with what that character is. The truth is that you are a persona. You are playing a role, whether you are a parent or a child, a daughter or son, whether you're an employer or employee, whether you're a friend. You play different roles. So we're going to talk about authenticity and powerful presenting. This course is not about trying to turn you into someone you're not. It is trying to take you who you are and the best of who you are and just amplify it. So when we look at internal presence, we'll look at that inner critic I talked about and some great strategies for managing that. Then we're going to look at external presence and how you can go from what your voice sounds like, your breathing, your posture. And I want to share with you a special tool that I actually is not in the course, but I want to just share it with you now. And it's a pausing tool. It's a pausing exercise. So I want you to get a pen and a piece of paper, or you can pause the video, get a pen and piece of paper and come back. And I want you to write down this sentence. I didn't say she bit my dog. I didn't say she bit my dog. What I'd like you to do is I want you to pause the video, because we're actually talking about pausing and the benefits of pausing while you present. And I want you to try reading it out loud, and I want you to pause after every subsequent word. So you read it through once, pausing after I didn't say she bit my dog, and then pause after didn't, and then pause after say. And I want you to see what happens. Don't cheat. I want you to try it out on your own before you listen to the rest of the video. Did you pause it? Okay. So if you did that exercise, you'll see that I didn't say she bit my dog. 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 You get it? So every time you say it and you pause in a different place, it actually totally changes the meaning of the sentence. Pausing is incredibly powerful. It creates this incredible sense of gravitas that you come across as, because you are so composed. You don't need to rush through things. You can pause. You're not afraid of the silence. If you want to gain more attention at work and life and feel like you are more present, there are strategies that we're going to look at for how you can get your voice in the room, literally. One little technique or strategy for you is to put yourself on the agenda. If you write out an agenda for a meeting, put your name on it and how many minutes. Another little secret is that if you speak earlier on in a meeting, you're more likely to speak later. Because sometimes when we don't speak, we build up this tension and that inner critic, and we think, oh, I don't know, should I jump in? I don't want to jump in now. Maybe it's too late. And sometimes we don't speak at all. So I'll tell you about one of my clients who literally wasn't speaking in a meeting, and she was messaging her superior to say the thing she wanted to say, and then she got really upset about it. And she decided, no, actually, that was my idea. I would like to say that in the meeting. So we're going to cover so many things. There's so much to go into. We'll talk about a little bit about power poses and the posture of how you come across more powerfully and how it impacts your mind. We'll talk about research studies like the one where people put a pencil in their mouth to simulate smiling, and then they put a pencil in between their forehead to simulate frowning. And the people who had the pencil in their mouth rated themselves as happier as the people who had the pencil that simulated frowning. So there's a whole host of tools, exercises. There are going to be things on the resource pack that you can use. And every day we're going to have assignments for you to try out, or what I like to call them as experiments. Think of them as an experiment, as my friend Catherine Britton would say. You'll try it out. You'll see if it works. And not all of the tools in the course will work for you. You're going to pick out the ones that'll specifically pertain to your situation. There's so many things you're going to take away from this course, and I'm really excited to share them with you. We already talked about the audience analysis. We talked about the internal aspects of presence, managing that inner critic. If that voice stops you from doing things you want to do, we're going to give you strategies for how to manage that. The physical external aspects of it. Like I said, we're going to look at all of the pace, pitch, posture, breathing, but we're also going to dig into how to structure a presentation. For me, that's really difficult and something that I don't enjoy doing because my brain doesn't work that way. But we're going to give you an actual process for how you structure a presentation. Then one of my most favorite weeks is around storytelling. And there is a surefire tool for how to structure any story. Or as my teacher said, so that you have your well-rehearsed, spontaneous story. So we're going to give you that structure. You'll have practice. You'll have time to work on your own story, a story of when you were at your best, a story of something you're passionate about. So you'll walk away with a few stories that you can use in your talks or presentations or meetings or conversations right after we finish. And then the last week is really exciting because it's combining strengths and presenting in a way that I've never seen anywhere else. It's looking at the VIA Character Strength Survey and how you can leverage what you're already good at and do more of that when you're presenting. We'll talk about how you can embody strengths by reading aloud, reading famous speeches, poems, monologues, how you can actually act as if you have a strength, even if you don't think that you have it as much. This course is really jam-packed with research, practical tools, and some fun stories of my own. And I think that really the course is for so many people. It's for, while I've coached CEOs and executives, it's also for students who want to advocate for themselves, students who want to come across more powerfully and be successful in school. It's for women who want to have more of a voice, want to take up more space and be influential. It's really for anyone who has to communicate in the world. So if you have a conversation coming up that's difficult, coming from a place of strength will probably make you more successful than if you come in with your habitual patterns. So the research shows that when you leverage your strengths, you're happier than when you don't. And physically, shifting the way your body moves, so that we call the somatic aspect of presence, that also makes you more powerful. So I'm really thrilled to have you here with me on this journey, and I'm excited to get started. I want to leave you with one last question, because I talk about in the course the peak end theory, which is how you construct the ending so that it's memorable. This is the question I want to leave you with. If you have a talk coming up, a communication, a conversation, I want you to pose the question. This is an appreciative question from Appreciative Inquiry, founded by David Cooper Ryder. What if this is the best talk you ever give? What if this is the best conversation you've ever had? See what your mind does when you resonate and land on that question. Maybe journal about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this masterclass, and I really look forward to seeing you for the course Mastering Powerful Presence.